Hello, Austin. I'd like to thank you for allowing me into your homes for this 16th edition of Season 3 of Esoteric Science Roundtable. And I would like to first start off by making an announcement about the upcoming March 9th primary elections. If any folks have any interest in voting, you don't have a whole lot of days left until the actual March 9th primary comes around. So anybody that's considering participating in that event should keep firmly in mind that March 9th is upcoming real quick-like, and so just want to put that out for folks that have an interest in contributing their vote to these local elections upcoming. Today's topic is coalescence, and I want to describe a bit about this term according to an esoteric or inner understanding of this particular term, which generally would mean naturally growing together in affinity or union. And so this idea of coalescence or coming together in affinity or union is very much reflected in our evolutionary unfoldment through humanity and throughout all the life on the planet, for that matter, that this coalescing of energy demonstrates itself through the refinement and unfolding of the life force that finds its way throughout the planet. And so we have a couple of analogies that we can consider to get a little bit of a grasp on this concept. And many might realize that our dense physical nature is basically mineral-based, and that we are carbon-based at some level. And so this idea of our humanity and much of the life on the planet, for that matter, being at its root carbon-based, or in other words, mineral-based, ties into the ability that we have as life forms on this earth, in this earth existence, to have this unfolding of consciousness work through us. And so, again, borrowing in this analogy and unfolding it a bit more, if we consider in the mineral kingdom the idea of coal and how coal under considerable pressure will finally yield the diamond, and the coal becomes more of a crystalline or gem formation. And so this analogy holds as far as our unfolding as well, and that our mineral nature can also, under certain circumstances, under the same sorts of stress and strain that the mineral would have placed upon it, we have our own sorts of stresses and strains throughout the daily life and throughout our existence on this planet that allows for a similar refining process to take place. And so circumstances and situations enact upon our physical nature, and this ultimately allows for a refining of our energy nature, our emotional or desire nature, and our thinking, our mental nature. And so as different trials or stresses or life circumstances and situations mold and shape us, this is, again, very similar as an example to the idea of the coal under great strain and under significant amounts of time finally yielding up again a more refined vehicle, if you want to use that term, culminating in the gem or the crystal. And so this is the case across the board for all minerals, and this is why in some studies the crystalline structure is considered because of the way that it is able to direct energy. It can be a focus or point of energy. And certain aspects of science are considering that, and that crystalline structures emit frequencies, just like anything in nature has a density or vibration. And the emissions by these crystals or gems is, again, a more higher or refined oscillation or frequency than the denser, lower mineral natures. And again, this has its reflection back into our humanity as we can emit a more refined tone or frequency through the culmination of long practice and, again, situations and life circumstances that lead to the unfolding of a life example that is refined and reflective of what we would consider higher qualities, the higher aspects, the good, the the good, the true, and the beautiful, and reflecting in our human nature and trying to mirror through our human nature the highest ideals that we can surmise and live up to through our life demonstration. And so, again, an idea to get back to the idea of coalescence, or this naturally growing together, this affinity or this attraction or this idea of union, and this naturally occurring symptom that is an outcropping of life expression. And so as this synthetic approach becomes more pronounced and recognizable, and we can see it demonstrating itself throughout our human expression and through various natural outcroppings. If we can use analogies looking at nature, we can see also ideas of coalescing or energy merging together. And this commonality, or this condensation of energy, is being more so demonstrated through group formation, and individuals are coming together collectively with intent and focus, and they're feeling drawn or compelled to meet and come together in group formation in order to unite for some sort of focus, or again, intent, melding of intent to do some sort of, to accomplish something using energy and force. And this intelligent using of energy and force by motivation of the will and by enacting our intent and focusing and honing our intent in a group formation, much can be done as far as the potency that can be generated and the capacity and the quality of the focused energy that can be generated through these situations. Certainly an individual, is also a focus of energy and intent at their own level. And so we constantly demonstrate throughout the day our ability to hold and focus our intent, or in many instances not, and how we demonstrate through life expression a failure to hold our intent and our focus directly on our goals, our desires, our ambitions, and things of that nature. Now again, considering the idea of coming together in a group formation, and we're reminded by many religious records and writings about coming together in two or more and asking for certain things to be accomplished, that this is a demonstration of the exponential quality and capacity available when people come together and work in group formation. Again, one person can accomplish a considerable amount on their own, but when they come together in a sharing of intent and a cooperative manner, that this focus is just that much more, it's that much more amplified, is the word I'm looking for. It's that much more amplified by the virtue of the collective focus. And so this group energy, we're seeing this demonstrating itself more so and more so. And as we are rapidly approaching the culmination of many different cycles that are also coalescing, and these energies are coming together and merging, and there's an affinity by virtue of that as well, that is coinciding with this desire that many are expressing to meet in some sort of group fashion. And so we see this unfolding at many different levels, and we see, if we just pay attention somewhat, that there are all sorts of groups that have cropped up, especially in the last, let's say, 50 or 60 years, that are devoted to any number of things. And there are enthusiast groups, hobby groups, political groups. There are the political action committees. There are different groups that are looking towards social change. There are neighborhood groups. There are city groups, on and on and on. We can look at, in every area of human endeavor, groups crop up around certain ideas. And it isn't always so much even that it's cropping up around a certain individual, as if, more like one leader or one person crops up, and then this ideology crops up around them. It's more so in this day and age, we're seeing that ideas are the catalyst for this coalescing of intent and energy, and just the ideas that seem to pervade a lot of our human consciousness these days are being tapped into by certain individuals, and they find themselves coming together collectively. And much synchronicity also comes into play in this, and individuals that are experiencing this as part of their life expression currently will certainly be able to understand and sympathize more so with that sentiment regarding synchronicities and what some might refer to as coincidence, which I don't believe in myself, or random chance or luck and things of that nature. Everything is based on energy, and thought itself is energy. And so as thought moves and as thought directs energy, and as energy moves, things are set into place. Currents and energy is set into motion, and we do direct and move, and we can create or we can tear down equally with our thought. And so we find this, again, coalescing of thought, and as individuals collectively are thinking more so along the same lines, we see it like a ripples in a pond, if we can want to use that analogy. This intent finds its way just dropping into the pond, and the ripples that are coming out from that center are affecting different people in different ways, and so different individuals grasp the intent from the center at different levels, and so different individuals are going to feel compelled to carry out the impression from those ripples at some level. And so we see that more so demonstrating itself, that ideas are finding their way into the thinking, the consciousness of humanity, and that groups are developing, and energy is being moved around these ideas. And so these ideas are being implemented into physical manifestation once a certain number of people agree upon an idea. Then it becomes so. It becomes not just an accepted concept, but as energy actually finds its way into manifestation, the ideal literally does become so. It becomes a demonstration on the physical plane of some manifestation. And whether that might be, like, for instance, the one that people bring up quite often, Middle East peace, or some sort of converging of some sort of discussion, some sort of a coming together, some sort of harmonic effort. People consider that quite a bit. And that's one idea of an idea that we see, coalescing within the minds of men, and we see much effort being placed upon that particular point of focus, just as there are other points of focus for other individuals, and it's, again, demonstrating itself more and more. And also, again, getting back to the idea of cycles culminating, there are a lot of cycles that are culminating right now as we speak, and the largest one would be a 26,000-year cycle, because the sun seemingly goes throughout the zodiac. There are the 12 signs of the zodiac. The sun seemingly spends about 2,000 years, roughly speaking, in each sign of the zodiac, and then it moves on into the next. And so the sun is rapidly passing out of its 2,000-year stint or stay in the Piscean location, and is rapidly moving into the Aquarian dispensation. And certainly many are familiar with the Aquarian age, or the Aquarian terminology that reflects synthesis, group awareness, unfolding of, just again, group awareness and synthesis are probably the key terms that are best to consider. And that this unfolding of cycles is culminating also around the time of about a 5,000-year cycle ending, which is a dark cycle, some refer to as a Kali Yuga, and as far as the Indian term we would consider. And so this age of darkness, so-called, is ending as this larger 26,000-year cycle is culminating, and some refer to that also as a Pleiadian cycle. But those are just two great aspects, and there are also lesser cycles that are building in within all that as well. And it's an intricate weaving, like a tapestry, if you will, as far as how these energies coalesce and come together. And certainly we can look at astrological implications, because as the stars move and align, energy is changed and refocused and reoriented on a larger scale, and we as humanity are recipients of that, and are on the other end of that energy as it moves and rearranges itself on a much lower level, but nonetheless it does filter itself down ultimately for our benefit or our detriment in some cases as well, depending on how we choose to take in these influences. But again, these ideas of coalescing of cycles on a larger scale is part and parcel of the opportunity and also what is instigating this group activity and is fomenting this group mind to come into being more so. And we see people, again, being driven to or compelled to find some group outlet. And in my own experience, I'm seeing that demonstrated more so and more so, that people from all walks of life are desirous to meet and come together for some common discussion, and in many cases coming together to move and exchange energy in some intelligent fashion, and to come together for, with a direct intent in mind, with a direct focus that they hope to set into motion for some desired results to manifest themselves. And so this whole idea of drawing together and coalescing of energy is all based on the quality of magnetism. And we are magnetic in our nature as human beings, and every living thing on the planet has a magnetic nature where it has a positive and a negative aspect. And it's largely up to us as humanity to find a balance within these two extremes, because we're not going to be wholly or completely good or positive or whatever term you want to use, or completely negative on the opposite end of the spectrum. We're always going to be a blend of these energies merging, and we may be 60, 40, 70, 30, what have you, as far as our orientation as to where our focus lies within our own thinking and our own feelings. But nonetheless, our electromagnetic nature draws to it, and there is an affinity or a like drawing to like that is generated just by our being, just by the way that we think and act, and the energy that we emulate from ourselves that is sent out, largely outside of our conscious understanding that this happens, but nonetheless we're constantly emitting energy outside of ourselves. And we also have the receptacles or the receiving ability to intuit or appreciate or understand or sense the energy that is exchanged between individuals. And again, through all living things for that matter, we can attune ourselves to energies of others, or in some cases we may choose not to attune if the energy is of such a dense nature or such a negative, coming from such a negative perspective, that it may be something that we don't want to avail ourselves of, and that we want to maybe be cognizant of or aware of, but not to wholly embrace that. So it's a process of discernment on a daily basis as far as that's concerned, as far as sending and receiving. It's almost like the idea of sonar, sending out sonar signals and receiving back. And it's a pretty proper analogy to use in that, as the quality of the signal we send is going to largely determine the quality of what we receive back, back into our area of influence and our sphere of influence. And so we, through our magnetic nature, can draw, again, whatever experience we choose. And that's really something that many people tend to forget throughout the day, unfortunately, is that our focus creates what ultimately manifests for every person. And so if we're constantly having a negative approach, or we're constantly thinking in a negative manner and constantly drawing a negative experience into our sphere or our arena, then that will constantly repeat itself, and that spiral, or it won't be really so much a spiral, it'll be a circle, and there'll be a dead-end circle of a repeating pattern, just walking round and round, covering the same ground over and over again, until that pattern, for some reason, is no longer found to be desirable or right or appropriate, or whatever. For whatever reason, it just doesn't feel right anymore, or there are many ways to term it or look at it, when a focus or reorientation is necessary in someone's life. And so as they make this circle enough times and they dig this rut deep enough, many people do this, and I certainly am a proponent of the idea of reincarnation and karma. And so I see this as something that could take place over many lifetimes, not just recurring over years and years, but that this circular ritual way of thinking and being stuck in some particular thought form, if you want to use that term, or some particular inclination or perspective will revisit us over and over again in this manner until we're able to rise above in a spiral fashion. And that is how energy transcends. So if we move past the circular and get past the rat in the cage mentality to be able to get a springboard to step up to a higher, more refined way of thinking or acting, then we can take that new perspective, and that can be our new approach to things. And then we can grow and accomplish more from that elevated perspective. And the term generally used esoterically is on a higher turn of the spiral, that we find cycles recurring and coming back around, but the same energy can be revisited, but a more refined aspect of that cycle can be accommodated or acquiesced. And so that's certainly something for consideration as well, in that if we can stay focused within a more positive attitude, and if we can keep within our conscious daily waking routine a mentality that will draw into us, towards us and into our sphere or our arena, the things that we truly desire and would like to see made manifest within our area of existence. And we will draw that unto ourselves. And the more we can stay focused and directed with that intent, the more we can see the fruits of that labor demonstrate themselves in a really meaningful fashion. And so it's really a matter of practice, and it's an experiential thing, an experimental working out as well, that we have to keep trying and trying and trying. And just like anything, it takes time to build this capacity into oneself so that one can be proficient or potent or capable with this ability. And it's like the weightlifter is not just going to walk up to a huge amount of weight and just lift it, deadlift in most cases. They have to prime themselves and prep themselves up and get themselves mentally prepared, and then they can attack a huge, massive weight and lift it successfully. Same with diet. If you're trying to reduce your weight, you're not going to be able to just take all the pounds off instantly. You have to gradually work at it and then take off little by little. But in both cases, the idea of lifting weights and weightlifting and getting into shape, or conversely losing weight to get into shape, it's a process that has to take time and be a building process over time, day after day, and it has to be built in as a ritual, and it has to become a pattern in one's thinking in order to successfully manifest, again, either a weight loss or a weightlifting program. And it's very much the same with any kind of creative endeavor, any kind of group thinking endeavor, any kind of ideas of meditation. Has to be built in over time, and it has to be a recurring, it has to be a repetition. There has to be that energy has to continually be tapped into over and over again. And then as we are more successful at doing that, we make ourselves an aligned channel, and so that that energy that we're able to tap into, we're able to do it much more quickly, and we're able to be much more potent because the channel is lined up properly. So the flow is just that much more cohesive. The flow is that much, the ease of the flow is that much more available when an alignment is in place. And so that's part and parcel of meditation work, or also it's just kind of an end result, kind of a byproduct of any kind of group endeavor as well, that we find that the group energy rubs off throughout the group, and it also the integrity of the group as we're able to hold the integrity of the group, during the times that we're not in group formation, but we constantly keep the integrity at some level of our consciousness, then we are in tune with that energy, and it will either lift us up or bring us down in some cases as well, as we're able to hold the integrity of a group energy in check, or again at some level within our consciousness. And so this is also part of that group cohesive capacity that's a building in over time. And so the rapport between a group, as people work together more frequently, and they become familiar with the energies that they can wield and that they can exchange, and they become more comfortable with each other on at a group level, then the results, again, it's experiential and experimental. The results that will be achieved will be demonstrated, and we'll see the frequency with which this takes place becoming more and more rapid. And we'll see from the inception point, from the thought point to the manifestation point, will be quicker and quicker and quicker. And that is also part and parcel of this culminating of cycles that we have available as well. All these cycles coming together right now are allowing for an alignment, if you will. So energy is really at the in abundance for us to tap into in a manner that really has not been available for an extremely long amount of time on this planet. And so the sooner that more people start to feel compelled to align their own selves, and then in turn align with this greater energy that's finding its way into manifestation, we'll see things change more rapidly, and we'll see this reorientation on a world scale. And so the globe itself and all of everything that's taking place on a global scale can start to reflect a high order of unfolding, and every area of human endeavor can reflect the highest aspirations, the highest goals, and the highest ideals that we can possibly put forth. And we can truly manifest through this coalescing of energy on a global scale, and the best possible everything can come forward. The best possible inventions can come forward, medical ideas, social experiments, the best possible economic system can come forward, ideas of trade, religious reform, all these things that are available to us but are fragmented and not really serving to the level that they possibly could be. There's much more that could be done to, again, reorient, refocus, and realign our collective energies so that this earth can be made not like a lump of coal, but could be more, the energy can coalesce into the gem or the crystalline form. And all this reordering can take place at every level of manifestation on a grand scale. And so that we can see order taking place that will be beneficial for the inhabitants of this planet on a vast scale. And so this ability to have a free flow of energy and a free exchange of all the abundancy that we have available on this planet will allow for, again, this gem or crystal-like structure to emerge from a more dense and less refined state. And so this is an area of interest for many people, and this is something that could be a good point of focus for those that are interested in focusing on some idea and some visualization idea to help, again, coalesce this energy in the most proper manner for the benefit of the most individuals. And that's the idea that I want to try to get across, is that we can get more bang for our buck, if you want to use those terms, by using a more cohesive approach and by not wasting our energy by infighting, bickering, worrying about political correctness, and all of these other little things that tend to divide folks over and over again, and that keep us from coalescing our energies in a real positive, meaningful manner. And so as we can coalesce our energies and we can get rid of the constipation and all of the fracturing that prevents a real pervasive flow, because the body politic is not in a position right now to have the optimum flow going through the entire system. There are areas where there are blockages, and there are areas where there are fracturing, and there's areas that are just not allowing for everything to make the rounds again through the whole entire system. And so that is shutting off and causing like a cancerous situation, if you want to use that analogy, and that where the constipation or the circulation is not allowed to flow, then there's a process that sets in that's, again, like cancer, like a rotting, a changing or metamorphosizing of the system that leads to a situation that, again, is not good for the overall bodies. Just like having any kind of disease in the body that would prevent from our overall health and well-being. And that's another analogy to consider. Now, as more individuals consider this cohesive working together in this energy, more energy is going to be available for individuals, and the synthetic approach is going to allow for people to have more of a rapport through this energy. And so as more people tune into a group mentality and tune into energy on a large scale, we're going to find that by that sympathetic relationship, again, through our magnetic nature on a global scale, that things like telepathy will be real and valid, and we'll be able to use the energies that we have available to us, that we tap into, to again, telepathy is, I guess, the simplest term to use, being able to exchange instantly across vast locations. And certainly the internet is kind of a precursor to that, or is kind of like the baby steps towards that whole overall process that's going to allow us to, at some point in time, be able to communicate directly via the mind with other individuals. And that may sound like the stuff of science fiction, but it's a very real potential and possibility that we have right at the forefront of the unfolding of all these cycles culminating. It's worthy of consideration as far as I'm concerned, and I know a lot of other people that are thinking about it in those terms as well. Esoteric tradition holds that in the past, telepathy was a normal way of life, if you will. It was just a condition that is kind of fallen below our subconscious understanding, and we don't consciously focus on the science of telepathy in the manner that we have in the far past. But again, on a higher turn of the spiral, this process will unfold again, and we'll be able to make much greater use of it because of our evolutionary unfolding and the progress that we've made since the time we've had access previously. And so again, as we're able to align our focus more so on the planet, we could see these energies coming into existence more so, and also the rapidity, the quickness that it takes from the idea to the manifestation of that idea fleshing out. Also, the idea of the synthetic consciousness and light available, and light not in the sense of like light from a light bulb, but just love energy or spirit energy, or the energy that animates all things and gives life to all things and uplifts and substantiates all things. That energy is pervading more so into our physical nature, our third dimensional physical realm. And science at some levels is perceiving and understanding of that, and some of the ideas of quantum science and some ideas of just new ideas of physics are allowing for this idea of thought and energy, and accommodating the idea that our dense physical nature is not as dense as it has been previously, and that by virtue of that we have more access to the underlying etheric or energy nature that is underneath, as far as the human body is concerned, in the Christian Bible it's spoken of as the golden bowl. That's the light that the dense physical body rests upon. But that light energy is becoming more pervasive within the human system, and that's why people are becoming more sensitive to this group idea that I spoke of earlier, or group ideals on a vast scale. And then we find that more and more people are, again, tapping into these ideas and these energies, because our energy nature is becoming more, it's more readily available, and it's like coming to the surface more so. This energy expression is being tapped into more so, and we are moving to a more refined nature collectively, and that's just part of the cyclic unfolding that's taking place right now, that it's right and proper, and it's taking place at this time because it's a due unfolding process. It's just, again, a right and proper time for this to take place. And so it's happening now. And so as we can more intelligently understand it and appreciate it, we can tap into these energies more so and use them and direct them in a more positive manner. So it's really up to us as to what exactly we want to do once we become aware that these energies are available, and once these ideas that are just kind of hanging out and pervading our humanity are drawn in and expanded upon, because these ideals are kind of general in terms and vague in a sense. We have to take it and make something out of it, and define and bring the detail in our own way and make something productive, if we choose, out of the energy available. So let me go ahead and grab a caller too and see what's going on this evening. Hello, caller, you're on the air? Caller, hello? Hello, caller? Okay, let's see here. Hello, caller?
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
What's up?
What's going on?
You're talking out of your ass.
Okay, hey, let's behave ourselves, shall we? Okay, hello, caller, you're on the air? Hello? Okay. Okay, and let's see here. Let me go ahead and try to touch upon a few of these points again and recapture a bit of what I was touching upon earlier. Many people are feeling compelled at some level or drawn to some idea of group working, some group formation, or some idea of just coming together and sharing and exchanging and cooperating. That mentality is pervading more so into the minds of men. And ideas, again, of sharing and harmony and cooperation and things of these kind of buzzwords are meaning much more to people than they have since a long time in our past. And so as we are recovering and understanding of these ideas of cooperating and sharing on a larger scale, we're seeing them being put into place more so, and we're seeing different pockets of individuals grabbing this energy and running with it at their own level, and trying to manifest something that they're trying to make the manifestation true to the vision. And so whatever people are envisioning along these lines, they're hoping to make something creative occur. And the people that are able to focus more intently and, again, keep that vision true and keep it at the forefront at some level of their thinking are going to be the ones that are going to be more productive with bringing the thought into manifestation. And so, again, we find people that are able to focus in spite of having to work during the day, and in spite of all the other things that sidetrack us, relationships and a million other things that keep us distracted. We find that there are individuals that are able to keep at some level a point of focus, and they're able to bring into their manifestation things that they seek and desire. And this is our ability to do this is much more potent in this day and age because, again, of all these culminating of cycles that I spoke of earlier. And so people that choose to experiment along those lines I think are going to find more so and more so that that this ability is theirs, and they're going to have much more success if they really focus and follow through. So I think it's worthy of consideration to experiment in your own lives with this idea of thought form building, and actually see if you truly seek to manifest something, if you truly seek and truly desire something to come into your area of experience, to go ahead and try and focus on it. And it's kind of like a tractor beam, you lock in on the object of your intent, and you, again, like a tractor beam, focus in on it, lock in on it with that laser focus and intent, and pull it and bring it into your reality. And this is a very real science. It's been known to man since time immemorial. It's just been used to the advantage of certain people to the disadvantage of others. It's because not everyone's always been, not everyone's always had that knowledge at their disposal. And so as those that have had this knowledge have kind of prostituted it to selfish ends, they've not made it available to the masses in general. But the information is valid, the science is valid, and those that choose to experiment can demonstrate some success in their own lives if they have the desire and they can stay persistent. Persistency and patience is another one as well. Persistency, patience, and having that focused intent, keeping it at some level, then you will be able to see the manifesting come into being, and we can experiment and again make it more of a science, and it can demonstrate itself in a more fluid fashion. And that's the key, to make it a more fluid thing that, again, from the idea to the finished product, will be truer and reflect more accurately our ideas, and it will also be much more fluid and it'll be a quicker process all the way around. Again, because of energy available and because of cycles culminating and because of the intent and the unfolding of the evolutionary process, all these things coincide and coalesce to allow for this energy exchange to take place. So let me go ahead and grab another call. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Caller,
One
hello?
thing I've doing lately has been like instant karma.
Beg pardon?
I've been experiencing is like instant karma.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay, how would you care to elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, for instance, I said something to somebody one day about them not being very responsible about a pair of gloves I'd given them, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Within 2 days, mine were lost.
So those things, but when you're able to realize those things, and see, not everybody, a lot of people will just glaze over that and not even think about it.
So I have to be very, very careful what I say.
But see, that's my point, real quick, to interject. A lot of people are having that demonstrated in their own lives, and we really do have to be careful in this day and age, because that power is ours. And if we neglect it, we're only going to either get ourselves in trouble or we're just going to waste it away. So when we are responsible with our thoughts and our actions, then we can really manifest productively and collectively and cooperatively. And so, yes, we do have to be responsible in that respect. Is there anything else you can add?
Well, yeah, I'd written this little sort of a prayer, and I've been saying it every day. So when I was having this stuff come back to me, and then I looked at my prayer, I said, okay, that's why, but I'm still saying it. But anyways, oh God, let nothing I think, do, or say hurt somebody else today. And likewise, let nothing I think, say, or do hurt or demean my own self too. Gosh.
Oh, that's really nice.
So, then, he's taken me at my word.
Right. Well, those prayers and those affirmations like that are very powerful once we get in the habit of using them, and we build. You see, it's just like anything. You build energy by using it.
Yeah, and I used to think that thoughts weren't important. We could think whatever we wanted to as long as we didn't say it.
Right.
But,
well, no.
But when you're letting it stay in your thoughts, it's going to come out when you don't want it to. For instance, if you get into the habit of saying a word that you don't want to say it in some company, but you're thinking it, okay, it's going to come out sooner or later. So
It sure happen. Yeah, you got to be careful when you're around Grandma with some of those words.
Yeah,
you might
really.
offend somebody.
Okay.
Well, hey, thanks a lot. I really appreciate your insight. Have a nice evening. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
All right. Just in response to the woman who was just on,
Yes.
I would say that those thoughts are a way to look into what's in your heart.
Yes.
And that might be something to try, too. And looking in your heart and seeing what's around you and knowing the truth keeps showing you all those little things that keep knocking you off the path that you're suggesting would be good to be on. But I thank you for being so positive. And I just wanted to thank you and your friends also for pointing out a book that I just finished, The Secret of Letting Go by Guy Finley. It was very good, and I thank you guys for that.
Okay, well, thanks. Appreciate that. Those nice words, and have a nice evening. Take care.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's very much in our best interest in just to stay on the more positive aspect. I really, there are a lot of negative things that we can easily get caught up in all around if we choose to pay attention to the media and things of that nature. A lot of things that could get us caught up in negativity, and then we can start reflecting and bringing that negative energy into our area of influence. And so anytime we choose to observe or consider something of a more negative aspect, we have to be cautious, to be discerning, and to use the attitude of the observer. So we look at things without actually internalizing them. And so we can be, again, more objective. And that's with our own lives, too. If we can take the attitude of the observer when we're interacting with people and interacting with people on a daily basis, we might not be so eager to say things we would rather not say, or think the thoughts that we would rather not think. Again, it's a matter of using discernment and not wasting our energy, because we do have much potency at our disposal. And so we can just waste it away irresponsibly, or we can gather it up just like you would any beautiful bouquet of roses. You gather them collectively, and then they collectively are even more beautiful and much more potent and fragrant and vibrant. We can use that same attitude to collect our energy and bring forth a beautiful expression that all people can look to for their own uplifting and their own inspiration. And that's certainly what I seek to attempt in my own life. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Are you there?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, man, you're smart. You're on the right track. Keep up the good work.
Do you have anything to care? Did you care to add anything else about maybe your own struggles or your own experiences?
No, I just like what you're saying, man.
Okay,
Great.
well, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Have a nice evening. Take care. Yeah, I think that's another thing I want to kind of try to finish up towards the end of the show as well, is that we all are on some path, whether you want to use that term or not, to just live life and to accomplish what it is we seek to accomplish. We want to bring our desires into our life expressions at some level, and everybody's seeking to do that. Some people are more focused on it than others. We're constantly thinking throughout the day, and some people's thoughts just get carried away, and their thoughts just change, boom, 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 and they're never able to focus on any one thing. And that, again, you can equate that to just a wasting of energy, because no real focus, no real gain, or no collecting is ever done. Everything is just thought in, thought out, thought in, thought out, thought in, thought out, just throughout the day, just on a rapid-fire basis. And until we can stop ourselves, still ourselves, reorient ourselves, and focus on some one thing, we're not going to have that ability, and we're not going to be able to demonstrate any real success at manifesting some creation in our lives. And so, again, everyone is constantly thinking thoughts, always, all the time. And even during our dream state, we're still thinking at some level. We're just not always consciously cognizant of it because of that separation. But nonetheless, we're constantly, the mental apparatus, the thinking, the brain, the mind, and that relationship is always enacted. And some people are able to use that mind-brain relationship to bring in this through some focus, through some aligned channel, and they're able to intuit, and they're able to demonstrate something constructive and creative. Again, other people are not so proficient, and they're not able to focus, and so their energy is just scattered. It's just like throwing seeds in the wind, and they just go every which way, and you don't really know if something's going to land on a rock. This kind of falls back to a biblical phrase or biblical analogy. You don't know if the seed's going to land on the rock or if it's going to land in the fertile soil, because it's just there's no real focus and direction to the energy. But as we can focus and direct, and if we intentionally plant our seeds in fertile ground, and we water it, and we nurture it, and we give it every available opportunity to come up and be something beautiful, be something positive, then we can see, an order, just like a person tending a garden. There's an ordered fashion to it, and once it's tended to and nurtured, then you see the beautiful fruits and everything crop up from all the labor that's been put into it. And so what we put into something and the energy we direct into something is exactly the energy we're going to get out. So it's up to us as to how much energy and how much focus we want to lay into any one project, or multiple projects for that matter, if we want to juggle multiple things, and how to discern and distribute that energy in an orderly fashion. That's another challenge of its own too. So this is just a constantly unfolding process that allows for us to channel energy, and oftentimes channel energy simultaneously, again, like the juggler. working on several things simultaneously, but in an orderly, rhythmic fashion for, you know, a shared cooperative purpose. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Okay, I guess not. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Yes, I study phi all the time, and similar systems, natural systems, and I think we are looking for common ground. I resonate with what you're saying tonight very much, because there is infinite potential there when we find our common denominator.
Right, sure.
And that space. And that is like, it's recursive. It's like an agreement to touch, to share an experience, a distributable, shareable experience. And negative emotions can really negate that process.
Right, I agree with you very much.
So I recommend that if anyone wants to know about the physics of love and compassion and the aha experience, they should look up phi online. 'Cause there's a whole lot of material.
Okay. Well, hey, thank you very much for taking the time to call and add your comments. Take care. Have a nice evening, okay? Thanks. Yeah, I would also say that along the same lines that we can also have a shared negative experience, and oftentimes through different family experiences and things of that nature, there can be a shared karmic energy working out that would appear negative by all seeming, but again, we have to go through the stress and the strain and the trial. Just like the lump of coal has to go through great pressure to become ultimately the diamond, we too have to go through our stress and strain and trial and tribulation in order to perfect and refine ourselves. And so oftentimes we do find ourselves in a negative situation, and again, often in a group negative situation, so that we can work out collectively in a shared fashion. And that working out of a negative pattern in a group fashion is that much more potent as well. And we can get much more cooperative and collective work done along those lines. So it's just really, again, what is our intent? What do we choose to do, and how do we choose to focus our intent and our energy, or not in some cases, and let it just be shattered and scattered and not come to any real positive ends, or any ends whatsoever for that matter. So it's really just a matter of, again, intent and focus and the determination to want to experiment and to have an open mind towards what we may perceive. There really shouldn't be any fear, because we're all living life, and this experimental process known as life, we should embrace it. I wholly feel that we should embrace it. Not everyone does. Some people really are down on the human condition, and they don't really enjoy this body that they're in, or the life circumstances that they found themselves a part of. But nonetheless, those are only transitory or temporary positions, and we're constantly going to be finding ourselves with opportunities to improve our lot. We don't always realize it. Sometimes things hit us over the head like a brick, and we still miss it. So it's really up to us as to what we want to focus on, and once we can align our perception within our life experience, then we can start taking advantage of these synchronicities and these opportunities, and we can make the most of them. These synchronicities and opportunities are always available for individuals. It just really depends on how much we want to take advantage of them. And the faith or the belief and the knowing that this potency and this energy is available to be tapped into, and that we can truly direct with our energy and our intent, or direct energy with our intent to manifest something, something on the physical plane. As to how it manifests itself, it really remains to be seen, because it always just depends on how much we're going to be able to truly bring into manifestation what it is we visualize. The truer and more accurate the reflection on the physical plane is to what we had in mind, that demonstrates a real faculty, a real ability, a real cohesive ability to be able to draw that energy in a real positive and productive manner. So everybody has a capacity to do it. It's just some people are more proficient or have a more potent ability to be able to pull it off. It's again, it takes practice, and we have to be, again, willing to experiment, and also willing to be knowing that this truly does work out, and it is truly a valid science. I really have to reiterate that. Hello, caller, you on the air? Hello, caller? Caller, you on the air? Hello? Okay. Well, nonetheless, we've got a few minutes left still, so if we're not going to be grabbing too many more calls, which, hello, caller, you on the air? Hello, caller?
I was calling in to add something to what you were saying.
Oh, please go ahead.
Okay. I've been listening to the other callers and things like that and kind of gathering what you're saying. And I wanted to kind of reinforce what you're saying by mentioning some experiences that I've had.
Please, go ahead.
That go directly along with what you're saying. There was a period of time where I was doing a lot of spiritual research and things like that and kind of studying the Bible and trying to figure out spiritually what I believed. And what was incredible was by praying, even though I wasn't a firm believer in it at that point, I started finding that everything that I wanted, I was able to have. And it was really even down to, I received a magazine at work one day, and I really liked it. And the next day at a separate office that I worked at, I got another magazine that was the exact same magazine. Yeah, and I mean, just small things. Lost a ring and, found it, and just some really interesting things. So I thought I would share that with you.
No, that's really cool. And I think those little synchronicities, a lot of people just glaze over and they don't realize. But once we start to tune in more so and align ourselves with those opportunities, we see those synchronicities coming in more and more and more. And sometimes to the point where, we're overwhelmed and we just kind of have to just look at it as, acknowledge it, but not be too concerned about it because it just happens so frequently.
No, it happens all the time. It really does. And the same thing with the young lady who was talking about karma. I have that happen constantly.
Really? That's cool. You almost talk as fast as I do.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. That's
well,
fine.
Thank you for taking my call.
Okay, thanks. Have a nice evening.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Hello, caller, you on the air? Hello, caller? Okay, we're not taking any more calls apparently. We've only got like about a minute left or so. So let me go ahead and wrap up. I want to remind folks to just try to stay on the positive mental tip if you can, and stay on the good foot in that respect so that we can bring in something positive. If we stay in the negative, we're going to draw the negative to us. It's just that simple. Like attracts like, and if we're negative, we're going to bring negative. If we're positive, we're going to bring positive. It's just it's just that simple. I want to also remind folks to check out Therefore I Am, Tuesdays at 10 on Channel 16. Also Reality Expander, Thursdays at 10 p.m. on Channel 16. And also, I want to throw a shout out to Jason McMaster, a brother of mine that I've had on the show previously. He's got his own access show on the Austin Music Network that's on this evening from 11 to midnight. It's called The Hard Show, and he's showing all kinds of different hard rock. And if you're into heavier style music, you might want to consider checking out Jason McMaster and The Hard Show this evening from 11 to 12 on Channel 15. Thanks a lot, Austin. Appreciate you guys taking the time to view. Have a nice evening. Take care.